Welcome back to another video. So I want to address this question. Um the fact that most of these so-called black people that we listen to, right, are mostly about their own kind, right? So there's a lot of talk about so-called white people and Mexicans and other races and creeds of people, right? They were also slaves. We get that. I get that. But here's the thing. Okay, as of right now, we are amongst a Eurocentric system that has the image of a so-called white person's face. When I'm already aware, I'm already aware that these Orientals or Caucasian people, the higher ranks of them, are working with the so-called white people to keep this system going. Whoever they are, right? They're working together to keep the thing going. Now, this is how I feel about it. If so-called white people feel this way, that we talk so much about only black people going through slavery, I get that. Why aren't these so-called white people stepping down from all of their monies that they inherit from this Eurocentric system? Just step down. If you care about us so-called black people being enslaved and stuff like that, just step down. Surrender your inherited property. Surrender your inherited monies. But none of them will do that. And that's what I feel fuels the fire to keep it going. Black so-called black people are gonna continue to be angered with this Eurocentric system, which, like I said, I already understand the fact that we're all mislabeled, and they gave us these names to go by and stuff like that. I already get all that. But okay, at the end of the day, we all slaves, so why are we all not stepping to the system? You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't get it. If you so-called rich and you so-called white, you have all this money, you are more fortunate than other races of people, so-called black people, and you still have to pay taxes just like we do. So why are you not using your how can I say, like I say, you're more fortunate financially to have certain things. Why are you not using those things to help fight the system? Because you really can, so-called white people with the finances, with the inheritance. You see what I'm saying? Or what they call white privilege. Because at the end of the day, I see it like this. They got us constantly playing this game, this black versus white, black versus white. And they're going to keep playing it. They're going to keep playing it on us because it's just like checkers. Keep making moves. You got so-called white economics. Now that black people waking up, now we got black economics. So it's going to be black, white, black, white, black, white. It keeps the board active. If the so-called white people quit the game and the so-called black people quit the game, there is no chess. But we keep playing. So it's going to always be, we're going to always play as the firewood for this fire. That's just how I see it. I don't know everything, never said I did. So, like I said before, I don't want people thinking that I'm so-called racist or nothing like that. But we all must understand truth. And some of that truth is dealing with genetics. Like example, so-called black people are genetically dominant than other races of people. That's a fact. But that does not mean we should be in our ego. Just because I'm so-called black does not mean that does not mean that I want another race or another species to bow to me just because my physical genetics are more dominant than yours. So I want that to be clear, and I say that for everybody, for all the so-called black people. So yeah, hopefully that clears the air about that, about the race thing and the slavery thing. Of course, we're all slaves. Black slaves working with white slaves. But my thing is, why the so-called white slaves and the so-called black slaves not working together to come to the system that got all of us in bondage? And like I said before, how come, like, all of these so-called white people, all these white families in these suburban areas, they will not step down. They will not surrender their inheritance of their clan ancestors. They will not let that stuff go. Because they want to keep making money. They want to keep their inheritance. Some of them are so racist that they just want to keep it going. They want to keep it in their bloodline. Because they know if they let that stuff go, they die. Their power is the system that connects to everything that I've been saying. If you take the money from them, they have no power. That's how they've been thriving, because of money. But if you take money away, you're going to see how everybody's true colors going to start showing. You're going to see what everybody can and cannot do. But unfortunately, that's going to take a process. It's going to take a minute before we detox from this matrix. Because we can't just stop eating poison in one day. I mean, it can happen. It can happen, but a lot of stuff has to take place for that to happen. So yeah, some of these so-called people who have inherited property and stuff like that, some of them do help. Some of them do help so-called other races of people and stuff like that, but it's not blasted all over the media. I understand that too. But at the end of the day, this system is still Eurocentric. And it's not what these people are doing outside of the internet is not overshadowing the media. And that's what it should do. So that's my thing. We'll know when they've stepped down from their inherited property, because things will start changing, and you'll be able to see it more so than you would watching this stuff on the news and stuff like that. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. Black people were not the only slaves, but it's still you still can't negate the fact that so-called black people are not used for all of these rituals that's on the TV and stuff like that. As far as I know, so-called black people have more magnetism than so-called white people. I think white people have electricity. But like I said, I don't know everything. Don't hold me to it. But so-called black people have more magnetism. That's why they call it the black mirror and stuff like that. We have something. It's like they know us. These beings who created these titles and stuff like that. It's like they know us more than we know ourselves. So that makes it even harder for us to communicate different interpretations. Like some of the stuff I may be saying you may not understand, and some of the stuff that some of you comment or discuss on your page or wherever, you know, I might not understand you because we using this bastardized language, which is unfortunate. So I try my best to share my perspective and explain it the best way that I can. So yeah, so-called black people have more magnetism, which would explain to me why they use so-called black people for all of these rituals that take place on the TV, like Roots. You know, where they talk about Roots. You know, the so-called black people being on slave ships and stuff like that. That was a big energy harvest when they created that movie, the Roots series. And then recently we had a event where Rihanna, she performed wearing all red with some what Dolo the Pilot Man said were in representations of sperm cells. You know, she represented the red blood cell, and she had the sperm cells, and it was some type of ritual. I didn't look into it, but the point of me saying it is basically they love using so-called black people for their rituals. You know, they'll kill us then put us on the internet, and then have people saying Black Lives Matter. Then they have you promoting, have you participating in the going against racist cops and stuff like that. All of that stuff is to keep the chessboard, the matrix going, and they use our magnetism to do it. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, like every time I turn around in the media, it's a so-called black person being embarrassed, some type of humiliation ritual. They died on a football field, or some type of crazy hairstyle or something like that. They always using us for entertainment to keep the system going, or to harvest us somehow. So yeah, I hope that clears the air for the so-called black people only being the slaves and stuff like that. I already get that. We all slaves, but when are the slaves, whether you are middle class or lower class, when are all of us going to step to the system? Period. Since we haven't, this is why we keep having this conversation. When we step to the system, then we will stop being on our phones. We will stop making videos. We will stop talking about this and that is coming and the events and all of that. We won't have to talk about it because we'll be living it. So, yeah. With that being said, I'm about to head back to this camp. Either God signing out. Peace.